If you look at there's certain allocation. The states that get water from the Colorado River have specific allocations for those. We actually just got cut a specific. I can't even talk today. And just like that, we are back again with another episode of the Mind the Growth podcast. As always, my friends, I am Chris Kinghorn.
And I'm Eric Hoffman.
And we are chippery today because it is Labor Day. It's a Monday, and we're podcasting. This is amazing.
We're not only podcasting, but where are we, Chris?
We are at my new house. We finally got moved in. We bought it in March. We had a tenant in here, which was one of the most painful processes that I had ever been in, and I've had tenants before, but thankfully we're here. As you can see, there's so much art up on the wall, but we do have a few nice little fixtures here. It's fall, so we have some pumpkins. It's 106 degrees outside, but it's fall apparently. So.
Yeah. Well, sometimes less is more, but I think you'll decorate it just fine.
Yeah, it's good.
It's looking good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
appreciate it.
That's kind of a perfect segue. Do you want to talk about your tenant? Because there was some fun stories involved there.
Yes. So I guess taking you through the beginning all the way to the end. We bought it. It was occupied, and we had a tenant who, during the inspection, was under the impression that we had scratched his car, or that somebody that was doing one of the inspections for us had scratched his car.
And did you?
It turns out we did not. I was pretty confident in the fact that we didn't, and one of the ways we were able to prove it is he actually had cameras in the garage, and you couldn't see. The one angle is the one angle of the car that you weren't able to see because he had multiple cameras was where the scratch had appeared. And the way we eventually solved this, and this turned into multiple months of arguments and very difficult pain point through the security deposit reimbursement and just really everything, is the plumber who was potentially at fault for scratching the car. He came out. We had a conversation with him. I said, basically, you guys need to have you need to figure this out. This is not a me problem. I'm sorry, guys. This is a you problem. You need to figure this out. I've helped as much as I can. And he looks down at the car, and it was this brand new BMW, $100,000 plus car, very nice. And there was a scratch, which was very clear and obvious, but there was some white paint that was painted over the scratch, and it wasn't.
So somebody tried to fix it?
Somebody tried to fix it, and we're kind of looking at one another, and I go, okay, hypothetically, let's say it was the plumber. The plumber would have had to know that you had a white car. He would have had to bring white auto paint with him, and then he would have also then had to go in with the idea, I'm going to scratch somebody's car, and then immediately go ahead and paint it while he's crouched underneath the car at one sitting, because there was the camera there. So we saw that plumber had never came back to that spot.
Right.
So ultimately, I think he accepted the fact that it wasn't us, but it was quite a few months of hell, I will say.
So why didn't he just look at the camera in the first place instead of
so he did,
blaming you?
And the way the plumber was positioned underneath the car, like very close proximity to the car, was a clean out. And the plumber, the reason why we had the plumber there is we had him check the pipes to make sure the pipes were clear and everything was fine. And if you ever buy anything in Old Town Scottsdale, make sure you do that. Lots
of heavy loads in
exactly.
Old Town.
Or just anything that can get flushed down a toilet, and a lot of times this was built in 2017 or 18, so it's a little bit newer. But anything that you would buy here, I would recommend definitely getting the pipes scoped. But the way the cameras were positioned, they were looking at the plumber who was crouched behind the car, feeding the camera and the snake into the cleanouts to view the pipes, and he was close to the car, so it did look like he potentially could have scratched it, but there was never at no point there was never any sort of immediate reaction of, oh shoot, I might have just bumped into the car.
Right.
Additionally, our real estate agent was standing right next to him, and she never had any sort of, oh shoot moments of we potentially just scratched the car. And if you go back to the paint, well, he would have had to bring the paint while he was doing the clean out, would have known to bring white auto paint, scratched it immediately, painted it over. And so ultimately we're 99.999% certain that it was not us. And I think our tenant finally accepted that as well too.
Good. And weren't you going back and forth with him via email at some point about some dispute of something owed to him by the old owner or something?
So And this is not any sort of legal real estate advice, but you can sign something that identifies whether or not there's any sort of liability or potential liability of anything that would be owed or due to the tenant from the landlord. And it's an estoppel certificate. Essentially, you're agreeing that what the current agreement is the agreement, and there's not anything above and beyond that that's owed or due to one side of those parties. So we were going to get an estoppel certificate signed that said, hey, we don't owe anything to you. And he was basically trying to argue the fact that because the car was scratched, it had to quote unquote come out of the house. And I'm like, what does that mean? These are some threats. I'm like, are you going to take the washing machine? Are you going to start punching holes in the wall? Or he goes, maybe I just have a big party and whatever happens, happens. So it was not fun.
Well, glad it worked out.
Yeah.
On to bigger and better topics. What was the first one we were going to talk about? Watches, right?
The Pelagos.
Yeah, Pelagos. Tudor, get at us for the right pronunciation. Tudor announced another banger, the Tudor Pelagos 39 millimeter.
Pelagos or Pelagos?
Pelagos, I don't know. Okay. Pelagos.
It looks good.
I love it. I think it's the best watch Tudor's put out probably in a few years. It's very clean. It comes with a rubber strap as well as the titanium band, and it's titanium, which is great because it's light and sturdy.
What about the size too? Because don't they have two different sizes?
Yeah. So normally the Pelagos, however you want to call it, is 42 millimeters, which is just a little too big for my wrist. I have a pretty small wrist, but the 39 would be like perfect. Yep. Yours is 41, right?
Yes, it's the 41 version, but it's basically just some trim down on the lugs.
I have the generation right before the 114060, which is 40 technically.
Right.
And it's perfect. So the 39 would be prime.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd love to get one, but apparently they're sought after right now because it was a big release. So any ADs out there that get them, that listen to this podcast, let me know because I will buy one from you.
Well, and what's cool about it, so I had watched a few videos and read some reviews about it. And you had sent this to me immediately when it came out, and I kind of looked at it. I was like, why is at that point get like a Sea Dweller or something that has kind of either red or blue font on it? And it started growing on me, and it really hit home how much of a replacement of a Submariner that could be. And
totally,
I think Tudor's. I love the bracelet. It doesn't have the kind of the false rivets, the faux rivets like the other ones do.
I can't stand that on the a lot of the black bays have that, and I don't know if the Pelagos does on the 42 millimeter.
I'm not sure.
But I totally agree.
Yeah, it looks just like the Oyster bracelet.
Yeah, and it looks great.
The Rolex.
At some angles, even a little better, I think.
Yeah.
But it's got a little bit of a rounder edge on some of the.
Your brother's calling. Do you want to answer?
Hey, put him on speaker, baby.
Hoffy, you're on the Mind the Growth podcast.
Nice. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Just got back.
Yeah, they were San Diego for the weekend, huh?
Apparently. I can't follow his travel schedule these days.
Get out in the 115 degree temperature, so that's not a bad deal.
So anyways, back to the watch. I love it.
I do too. And what I made a comment, I think it was, I don't know if it was the last podcast or the one before that we had put out about how it could be a replacement for like a Sea Dweller or Sky Dweller, or not a Sky Dweller, Sea Dweller.
Yacht Master.
Yeah, it's definitely, it is a sub. And I really do the more Tudor's done this, the more I'm really liking what they're doing. It's obviously it's a heritage brand, and if you look at most of their watches, they look like vintage Rolexes in a sense. Some of them are a little bit more modern. Some of them pay heritage to kind of the older watches, but you can get a hold of a Tudor significantly easier than a Rolex, whether it's
because they make like 10x the amount.
Right. Well, and the price point's a little bit significantly more affordable. Yeah, it's about 50% on average. I think
this is 4,400 retail. I want to say
versus a sub, you're 9 to 10.
Exactly.
For the
and you can't even get one. So you're at right now 12 to 13.
Right.
In the
gray market.
In the gray market. Yeah.
Right. But I do think it's great that if you've got somebody who's, let's say they're in their early 30s, they want to get some sort of a milestone watch. okay, if Rolex isn't attainable, now you get a Tudor, you can get a badass Pelagos, and Tudor now has you in their ecosystem. They have you in the brand,
Right.
and in my head, you can then work your way up towards, okay, once I hit the next milestone, I can spend that $10,000 for the Rolex or whatever it might be.
3x.
Right. But I love it. The watch is amazing. What they're doing, I think, is incredible.
And the red lettering, that's always been a hit for
Yeah.
Rolex fanboys out there. I don't know if this will be a collectible at some point in the future, maybe. But
I've been thinking about that of Tudor back in the day. If you can get an old Tudor that's in great shape, it's got a lot of value to it. Is that going to hold true now because production's significantly higher?
we'll see. I mean, I totally agree that it's an approachable Rolex, and they're obviously making it as that, and they're producing way more, price points lower. I wouldn't consider it a collectible if I got one. It is more of a utility and watch to wear versus Rolex just on more special occasions. But yeah, I don't know. So partly there's two reasons why I really want it. First, I've been looking at a few titanium watches, Grand Seiko being one brand that I really like.
We need to get you off Grand Seiko.
It's great. I love it. But they make titanium sport watches, and there's a few others, but this is a titanium, grade 2 titanium watch, which for those who don't know, it just makes it like, I think 4 times lighter than a stainless steel watch.
Okay.
Or 4 times lighter, 40% lighter, which is much different, but
Are any
lighter
of the links
nonetheless.
hollow or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's just solid
it's sturdy then.
titanium.
Okay.
Yeah, so sturdier, lighter, which is great for regular wearing.
Right.
And I've really been wanting a watch with a rubber band, which I mean, it's fun saying rubber band, but rubber bracelet maybe. I don't know how you want to say it. But it's more wearable, especially in Arizona with the summer heat, being more active. The metal bracelets tend to make you sweat a bit.
Oh yeah, we're inside. I've got the thermostat to 73, and I'm sweating.
Exactly.
We're next to the window. It's not helpful.
Which it could be a good segue, the Arizona heat, to our water problem maybe 10 years down the road.
I mean, not even 10 years.
Yeah.
If we're looking at the Lake Powell and Lake Mead, which the levels are extremely, the amount of water that has not been replaced in the last handful of years is just, it's scary. And people are moving to these desert cities, and we can't really replace water.
Falls from the sky.
Right. The only way we can replace it is
all we got.
desalination. And
yeah, true. Which is a good aspect to making more water drinkable. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, the biggest state that shares land with the ocean is California, and it's a lot harder to get things through in California. In fact,
they've been trying to.
Yeah.
A
lot of people have been trying, and I mean, Israel does this best because the Jews need to drink. Yeah. So basically, it can be done, but there are pollution concerns certainly. But I still think it's the best option. California, I don't know if they'll ever wind up doing it because it takes 10 years to pass anything.
Right.
And on top of that, they're in a bit of an ironic position. Did you see what happened this week with their drought and their heat wave going on?
No. I saw the cars, the EV cars.
Yeah. So that's exactly it. So the week that they passed the law that they are no longer going to produce or allow sales of new gas-powered cars as of 2035, I think
so,
is.
yeah. I think it tapers up to 2035.
Yeah. So no more new car sales that are gas-powered, only EVs.
Right.
And then literally less than a week later, they come out and say, don't charge your EVs this week because our power grid can't handle it. So it's like an own goal on their wokeness.
Elon, if you're listening, you need to sell all the solar packs, all the Tesla roofs, just hammer California hard.
Yeah,
get them on their own. Everyone needs to be on their own little grid.
They just don't understand how to do things right. Nonetheless, I think desalination is probably the answer in the end run. But didn't we have like a huge surplus a year or two ago when we got all that rain? What probably 2019 or 2020.
So it's the snowpack is the biggest component too, because the rain it doesn't get absorbed as quickly, and some of the aquifers, like the groundwater, doesn't necessarily get fully replaced. But I think so. I don't know. We've been in a drought for a handful of years, so I don't think it fully replenished it to where it needed to go to. But one thing before you guys try to cancel Eric, he is Jewish, so we're all on the same page about that.
Good catch.
Yeah. Second,
I thought it was just assumed, but yeah, I don't quite have the Jewish nose. You could probably pass for the Jewish nose a little bit.
I mean, at this angle too, we've got the cameras on this. I need
Schnoz.
to fully turn this.
Yeah,
way.
there you go.
Just look at the camera. Okay, so my thought is, if you look at there's certain allocation. The states that get water from the Colorado River have specific allocations for those. We actually just got cut a specific. I can't even talk today. Still, like, the hangover from the weekend still kind of kicking my ass a little bit. But every state has a specific allocation of water from the Colorado River. We also share that with Mexico. So Mexico actually has a decent stake of what they can pull from the river. My thought was, towards Rocky Point, there's an ocean there. It'd be a lot easier to do desalination there.
Point.
Yes, than California. And proximity, they're probably pretty close. You might even be a little bit closer if you do a straight line from Phoenix to Rocky Point than you would. You wouldn't even be able to do it in, I guess, San Diego potentially, or once you get further north into LA, there's no way in hell.
I mean, I don't really even know how those desalination plants work.
Yeah.
Do they just pipe water to different places, or do they take it by truck to certain repositories?
From city to city, if it was going to be providing a significant amount of water to the city, I don't think it'd be feasible for it to be trucked in. So there'd have to be some sort of pipeline. And if you did it from Mexico, you could also hit Tucson first, and then you could hit Casa Grande, Maricopa, then Chandler, Gilbert, Phoenix, etc.
Yeah.
So in my head, that direction makes sense.
Chris for governor 2030. I agree. That could be a good option. I'm not sure where our negotiations are with Mexico right now.
They've got a lot more
leverage,
a lot more pressing issues that are going on right now. But water's a big issue.
We can just use the tunnels they built for the drug trafficking.
That's true. Yeah,
pipe it right through there. We'll see. We'll let 100,000 people in for free. Give them green cards, and
we're trading water for people.
in return,
if every person that comes over
into the country,
X amount of gallons of water has to be provided per person.
Yeah, I think it's a good trade.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, we'll have to send this to the Phoenix government, or I guess Arizona government.
If you're listening,
yeah,
we're trying to get you some water.
All right, what's next on the list? What else did we have?
The non-existent. What do they used to call them? NF.
Oh yeah.
How are those working out?
Not great. I think the Bored Ape Yacht Club is down like 50% off the peak, which is still crazy that they're still that expensive. I don't know where CryptoPunks are, but the volume on OpenSea, I heard over the weekend, it's dropped like 99% from its peak. At one point, they were doing like 400 plus million in volume. Now it's down to like 1 million and change, which is still, a decent sized business, but not quite what it was 6 to 12 months ago. No,
not at all. That is, so you have been into NFTs. I stayed away from them. So I understand them. I just have not participated in them. What are you holding? Is it at this point you just have to hold because there's no out? Or
yeah, pretty much. The only ones that I've actually purchased, which were like $100 to $300 each. There was one at one point. Well, that's not true. Let me back up. So when it first started getting big, I got into the NBA Top Shots craze. Okay. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes,
that was like beginning of 2021. That was the first thing I feel like besides CryptoPunks to really take off. And they had a huge volume. But at the time, I viewed that as just a digital replacement for trading cards. And trading cards have been around forever. And so I figured might as well buy a few rare NFTs from the NBA Top Shot, and I did. I focused on the Phoenix Suns because go Suns. So I got like a Chris Paul rare moment, I think they call them, instead of cards. Because
Was that when he
it's an
actually hit
actual
a shot
video, yeah.
towards the finals? Quarter three,
yeah.
quarter four.
It was
and the
actually
finals
during
hits a shot.
the. I think this one was during the lockout or the pandemic season. I don't remember what they called it.
Okay.
When they were the play-in or something.
Yeah, it was the
They were
the
playing
bubble.
in the bubble.
bubble,
Yeah.
yep.
So I think they were both from the bubble when they had that crazy run when they went like 16-0, but they
Right.
still didn't make it into the playoffs. So I got a Devin Booker one, a Chris Paul one, and a DeAndre Ayton, all like very rare according to whatever rarity things they have. So I dropped like, I don't know, $8,000 on the three of those. Now they're probably worthless, but the owner of NBA Top Shots, Dapper Labs, they are actually making really big moves. So they partnered with Ticketmaster. I don't know if you saw that.
I think vaguely.
So they're basically issuing through. So Dapper Labs, they developed their own blockchain called Flow because they were
Okay.
using the Ethereum blockchain prior to that. So now they're using this blockchain called Flow, and that's what they're releasing all of their NFTs on. And I think they have. I don't know if they have a baseball version of NBA Top Shot, or they may have a few other sports that they've launched since then. But I did see recently, maybe in the last few weeks, that they partnered with Ticketmaster to basically, on their blockchain Flow, release tickets for concerts and different things that Ticketmaster will now go through them and hopefully make it more unique, seamless. Fees go down ideally because
Right.
Ticketmaster is known for having a million different fees for every different ticket they
We'll
issue.
just figure out a different way to bake fees. out.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. But as a result of that, I'm still probably most confident on those NFTs because, like I said, it's the digitization of trading cards.
Right.
And if that company continues and if they keep growing, I think it'll wind up being a mainstay. The only other one that I've purchased is one called, I'm going to forget. So Rana and I are really into Top Chef,
Okay.
the food competition. And so Tom Colicchio, who's a famous restaurateur and chef, he's the main judge on Top Chef.
Okay.
Him and another Top Chef contestant launched this NFT project called, I can't remember the name, but it's basically like different images of these pizza figures. And
Is Dave Portnoy involved in this?
No,
or?
no, not at all. But I bought two of those when they minted them, and they're worth less now than what I paid, obviously. But the main point was to get access into the ecosystem because I'm hoping and guessing that they'll wind up doing some collaboration with Top Chef at some point.
Okay.
Maybe allow access to, a taping or an event that they run together. So that one's more of a utility for me versus an investment. So we'll see what that turns into. But those are the only two. And I honestly think that's what NFTs should be rather than more of an investment. It's a ticket into something,
Right.
access into a community, access into a concert or an event of some sort.
I like that instead of a JPEG.
Yeah.
It could almost replace a barcode. It's kind
For
of
sure.
what
A
it is.
QR code, barcode,
Right.
whatever. You just, have it stored somewhere in a wallet on your phone, whatever
Right.
it may be. And it grants you access to different things. And you have different levels of access based on which one you hold. And you can sell it, and the original producer can make a percentage of that cut based
Right.
on the smart contract, which is more than you can do now, which almost eliminates scalpers to a degree.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that's
Well,
what
it wouldn't eliminate scalpers, but the artist, the originator of that would still get paid. if they did
Exactly. Yeah.
fee for
So-
it. So
rather than just the scalper
Right.
taking the alpha of whatever they whatever they make over the original price, the originator can still make a cut of that sale. So
absolutely.
yeah, I think that's what it's going to wind up turning into. There may be still some art projects like CryptoPunks or Bored Ape that make some money. I don't know.
Well,
But
I'm sure they do. I think everything just got so hot too. Look at the watch market, look at the stock market, look at the housing market. Everything was just going up. So the crypto, like the coins themselves, not just the NFTs as well too. Everything was
Yeah.
going up
Very
so
speculative.
fast. it just wasn't sustainable, wasn't feasible. Now people, I think, some people are getting into some tough times, and I think it's going to get harder and harder over the next 6 months to 18 months, and hopefully it levels off. But you're just not spending dumb amount of money on needless things, and it's really hard to pitch that a JPEG is worth $1 million.
God, I want to interview someone who bought, what was it, that rock NFT for like 4 million 2 years ago. I wonder where they're at, what they're doing.
If you're watching, hopefully you're all right.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, comment below. Tell us what you think about NFTs or where they're going, if they're going anywhere or if they're going away. And like this video, give us some love. And
let us know if it's Pelagos or Pelagos.
Give us the correct pronunciation in writing so that we know for sure. That would be great.
Spell it out phonetically.
Yeah. And then until next time.
Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers.